I hear the term gaslighting thrown around all the time, and honestly, a lot of people are using it wrong. When that happens, it makes real gaslighting harder to see, and it can take already painful situations from bad to worse. Gaslighting can literally make you question your own sanity or intelligence. That's actually the point. In this video, we're going to get into a deeper understanding of gaslighting, what it really is, how to identify it, and most importantly, what you can do to defend yourself if it's happening to you. We're going to get into what gaslighting is very shortly, but let's take a moment to make sure you're not using the term incorrectly. If you accuse your partner of gaslighting, it's such a hot button term these days, you can inflame a disagreement that maybe could be solved otherwise. These things are not gaslighting. First, a genuine difference of opinion. Healthy couples disagree all the time, and just because partners can't get together on a particular issue doesn't mean you're being gaslit. It just means you disagree. Remember, it's not if you disagree, it's how you disagree. Second, and I see this all the time when we disagree about what was said or done in a previous argument. If one of you is saying something like, "I never said that," or "That's not what happened at all," you can easily begin to think one of you is lacking a basic grip on reality. But here's what I want you to remember. Stress is brutal for your memory on both sides of the equation. If you're in an argument, you're in some version of fight or flight. In these moments, your brain doesn't write those words and events into your memory banks accurately. And then, if you're under stress when trying to recall that information, like in another argument, you also don't recall those memories accurately either. Whatever version of events that may have been stored in the first place, you're not likely to retrieve that information accurately the next time. Now, stick around because in a moment, I'm going to help you figure out what to do about this. We'll get into how to tell if you're actually being gaslit or if maybe there's something a little less nefarious going on. Let's get into what gaslighting is, who does it, and why. We'll focus shortly on what to do if you're being gaslit. Simply put, gaslighting is an approach to manipulation with the intention of getting you to question your own intelligence or sanity. There are several ways to do this, and I've talked about these on other videos on this channel. Be sure to check those out after you've watched all of this video. I'll link them down in the description. By using techniques like button pushing and flipping, denial, or triangulation, someone can try to get you to wonder if you're crazy or maybe stupid. While they may say that, some of the more sophisticated approaches don't actually have to say it. Take button pushing, for example. If someone you care about really knows what gets you upset and they keep doing it, maybe it's calling you a certain name or taking a certain tone with you, they know you're going to have a strong reaction to. Then when you have the predictably strong reaction, having your buttons pushed, they flip around, get very calm, and say something like, "Hey, you're getting pretty emotional here. Don't you think you should calm down?" Do you see what happened there? They goad you into a big reaction and then suggest your big reaction is an example of your irrationality. They call you irrational to paint themselves as the reasonable one in the room. Another example is triangulation, where they wrap someone else into the argument, claiming they're on their side. They use this as evidence you're outnumbered and clearly wrong. This could be direct, like, "I'm going to call your mother so she can tell you how unfair you're being to me." Or maybe claiming allegiance with someone without actually bringing them in. They might say something like, "All our friends think you're the irrational one. They wonder why I stay with you." Either way, it's an attempt to assert dominance over you. Try rewinding those comments again. As you listen to them, notice that they have nothing to do with any possible disagreement. The exact same thing could be said whether you're arguing over money, household chores, or some big life decision. At its heart, gaslighting is a power play. It's not about winning the actual argument. It's about asserting power and dominance. Remember, power is the foundational quality of gaslighting. It's what sets it apart from other kinds of disagreements and even distinguishes it from garden variety manipulation. Hey friends, if you're enjoying this video, I want to ask you to do two things, please. First, be sure to subscribe below and click the bell to be notified when every new video comes out. And second, I have an email newsletter where I go deeper into a range of relationship topics. I hope you'll sign up in the link below so we can stay in touch. Thanks a lot. Manipulation is about getting your way. It's about playing on your doubts or insecurities to reach a behavioral goal. Give them money, do work for them, have sex with them, whatever. But the difference with gaslighting, and I cannot stress this enough, is that the power is the point. Gaslighting is about no other outcome than becoming dominant over someone else by getting them to question themselves. It paints you into a corner so that you're in a corner, and they're not. With gaslighting, you may find that you're quickly off topic from what you think the argument is about. You think you're arguing about money, but they're using that subject to manipulate you into doubting yourself. If it weren't that topic, it would be something else. How do you know if it's gaslighting? Here's one way. If you're arguing about something specific, say household duties, what would happen if you honestly said, "You're right, I concede"? Would they be satisfied? Would the argument be over? Or would it evolve and morph into something else where they continue to try to manipulate you? If the subject stays settled when you give in, it's probably not gaslighting. It could still be manipulation. That comes in many forms. But gaslighting isn't truly about the topic for the gaslighter. It's about the power. If you're locked in these kinds of power grabs, feeling over and over like you may be the crazy one or the stupid one, that might be gaslighting. Hey friends, if you're finding value in my videos, there is an additional way you can support my work here on YouTube. I've set up a Patreon community, and I hope you'll consider supporting me through a membership there. It's a way for you to help out in small amounts, making it easier for me to create more content. In the future, I hope to offer special items to community members like early access to videos, deeper dives, and direct access options. Do you know how I'll know what to add? I'm hoping you'll tell me. So please head over to Patreon at the end of this video. The link is in the description. If you'll get involved, I think we can do something important together. I hope to see you there. As we get into how to defend yourself against gaslighting, there's something very important I want you to consider. Decide what the physical safety level of your relationship is. If there are moments that become physically unsafe in your relationship, the ideas I'm about to give could inflame an already difficult and tumultuous situation. If you're in a relationship where asserting yourself can undermine your physical safety, I think we always need to focus on preserving that safety. If you like these ideas, but have a sense that using them now might become a bigger problem for you, don't do it. Safety first, always. How do you defend yourself against gaslighting? How can you break the cycle? If you're convinced it is gaslighting, my ideas might actually surprise you. First, let's try to be clear about what we're dealing with and decide if it's gaslighting or maybe something else, because that decision makes a big difference in how you handle it. Begin by slowing things down. This is often a great answer in arguments between partners, no matter what the situation. Things tend to go fast when we argue. We get overwhelmed, and then we say or do unproductive things. Start by taking your time and focusing on what you perceive the original topic of the disagreement is. If it turns personal, or if you detect some of the gaslighting techniques I've mentioned, you can try to redirect the conversation back to the topic. If your partner is pushing your buttons, maybe try a gentle reminder that says, hey, this is unacceptable, and you'd like to stay focused on the topic of the actual disagreement. See if you can get them to focus productively on the actual topic, instead of trying to get you riled up with attacks and manipulations. If they concede it was inappropriate and make an obvious effort to refocus on the topic itself, it may just be an example of an outburst or poor relationship behavior, present for any number of reasons. If they can be redirected away from attack mode, it becomes less gaslighty and maybe just messy. You may still have a chance for a productive exchange in these cases because your partner demonstrates a desire to resolve whatever the issue is. But if your partner doubles down or just switches gaslighting tactics to continue putting you on the defensive, that may tell you something. This may really be gaslighting. If you are being gaslit, you may want to get hip to a few fundamental ideas. You're probably not arguing with the same goal in mind. While you may be seeking resolution, they are seeking power. Resolution ends the argument. Power seeking extends and escalates it. Ending the argument may be your goal, but someone prone to gaslighting is going to have a shocking amount of energy to continue the fight. That's because the drama is the point. When they say things like, you have no right to feel that way, or our friends all think you're crazy, you may want to pivot to defend yourself against these accusations. I know I would. When you do, you fall into the trap. You've allowed them to pivot the fight away from your legitimate concerns, muddying the waters, leaving you confused and frustrated. I got to tell you, this is not a recipe for maintaining your focus or self-control. And when you lose your cool in these instances, you give them exactly what they want: ammunition. Especially if the partner is a narcissist, they usually have a lifetime of practice manipulating others. They're better at manipulating than you are at defending. While you may be focused on deciding which Christmas party to attend first, they are using the chaos to preserve their sense of self in the world. See, the relationship between these exchanges and their need for emotional stability means they're not only better at this than you are, they're far more motivated. They have more at stake. Quick disclaimer here. I can't tell you how to communicate with your partner. Please hear these ideas as options, not recommendations. You are the expert on your own relationship, and you're the one that has to live in it day to day. If you like any of these ideas, that's great. Just remember, my answers are not necessarily your answers. In the end, you have to do what feels right to you. If you can't get your partner into an authentic conversation about the disagreement, and you're just going to end up playing whack-a-mole with all their manipulations, what can you do? You can try to disengage without arguing the attacks directly. This can look several ways. The straight-ahead approach is to simply refuse to interact on this level. As flexes go, refusing to engage the conversation is a pretty strong one. This may involve a direct statement like, "I'm not willing to have this argument with you in this way. If you can't discuss the point without attacking me, I'm not going to talk about it," and then walk away. This is a bold move, and as I mentioned earlier, you need to be absolutely sure you can remain safe if you do this. But when you refuse to pivot into that game of whack-a-mole, you reclaim your own power. You remind them that you are the arbiter of your own self-confidence, and that's not up for negotiation with them or anyone. Don't be surprised at the lengths they may go to get you to re-engage. But remember, no is a complete sentence, and you get to decide what you're going to argue about and under what circumstances. Refusing to engage in an abusive argument over your sanity is absolutely within your rights. When you learn to do it effectively, it can feel pretty good. Learning to stick to your guns and remain consistent can take time and effort, so be patient with yourself. Or you may want to take a more subtle approach. You can still minimize the attempts to undermine your sense of self without giving an outright refusal. Here's an example. I'm a child of the 80s, and I like to use movie scenes to illustrate my points. If you've seen the original Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, who plays Dalton, you know, the guy who travels around cleaning up out-of-control bars, this is from that film. In the scene where the bar owner introduces Dalton to the staff, many of whom are corrupt, one of the thuggish bartenders says, "I've heard of you. You don't look so tough to me." Dalton just smiles and kindly responds, "Opinions vary." Do you see what happened there? He could have argued with the guy or had a fight with him to prove his point, but he found the more productive path. He responded with a statement that did not accept the criticism, but also didn't push back on it. He doesn't sacrifice his own perspective, but he also doesn't put himself in jeopardy by escalating the conflict. That's pretty slick. In these moments, statements like, "maybe so," or "some people might think so," can be your friend. They help you diffuse the attack, not by winning the moment, but choosing not to validate the attack in the first place. No matter what you do, trying to argue your way out of gaslighting critique is typically a losing proposition. You allow them to refocus the fight, making your sanity and intelligence the topic. And you're not going to win that fight because people who gaslight have a lifetime of moving that conversation, changing the subject over and over again. You can figure out the argument judo approach that works best for you, and you may find yourself feeling less frustrated and confused. Be aware, though, that people who gaslight often, especially narcissists, tend to invest in relationships where they can maintain the upper hand. It's how they feel secure in the world. If they develop a sense that they're not going to be able to sustain this pattern with you, it can have real ramifications for whether they stay in the relationship or not. Standing up for yourself in this way can feel good, and it can protect you from gaslighting. But it can also be the catalyst for bigger changes in the relationship. Just be aware. Building these individual defense techniques can be helpful in the moment, but there's usually long-term work to do as well. Whether you choose to stay in this relationship or not, you'll want to be able to interact with your partner in ways that feel honest and not manipulative. That means you have to learn how to set boundaries. If you struggle with boundaries, getting better at them can sound pretty exciting. I'm going to get some boundaries. People will respect me and honor my needs. It'll be great. And it does sound awesome until it's time to actually set a boundary. Then it can be terrifying. I've done another video on setting boundaries. It's linked above and also in the description. So I encourage you to check this out if this is an area you want to get stronger in. If you believe your partner truly is a narcissist or has strong features of narcissism, there's another YouTube creator I highly recommend, Dr. Ramani. She's an expert on narcissistic relationships and does frequent deep dives into all kinds of topics around narcissism and relationships. My channel is more focused on general relational skills, communication, conflict patterns, emotional intelligence, and I hope you'll subscribe and stick around for more of those videos. After you've explored those, head over and check out Dr. Ramani. If you like her content, drop her a comment and let her know that I sent you there. Okay, friends, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to connect with me on Patreon to help support my work on this channel. Until next time, be well.